Hi everybody, welcome to your week 5 orientation video. Lots of information today, so bear with me as I work through the video. First of all, congratulations on a job well done on your needs assessment. I'm really thrilled that our fluid surveys worked out for us. Special thanks to Scott Lang, who helped me work through some bugs on Friday morning. Looks like we collected lots of great data, and we'll start off on Monday morning looking at the surveys as well as mulling through the interview data that you collected. I think there are some interesting things in there, and I'm very excited to get y'all's feedback on the interviews and some of the comments and behaviors that you observed from students. Another announcement is about our deep dives. I've had several students ask about the deep dives. I'd like to remind you one more time that the deep dive is self-directed, meaning that you choose kind of when and what you do your deep dive on. That said, mid-semester is in 3 weeks, and I have asked that you complete your first deep dive sometime before mid-semester. So now would be a great time to start thinking about it. Your deep dives are on a topic of your choice, but that topic should or must start from one of our content areas. So you can pick one of the articles or one of the pieces that we read or watched. You can pull together multiple pieces into a single concept, or if there's a concept that's somewhat related to what we're reading or doing in class but isn't explicitly from the content, then come see me. Very likely we'll allow you to do it. What's most important is that you pick a topic that you have some questions about, that you're willing to explore in depth, something that you're interested in. So be thinking about your deep dive. Also note that you do need to get peer feedback on a draft of your deep dive. That takes some time, y'all. So be sure to finish your deep dive, I'd say about a week ahead of time, so that you have time to get feedback from a peer or from the Writing Center and complete a final draft. And you will need to complete a memo to me about what exactly you incorporated into your final draft from the feedback that you received. So that's kind of a multiple step process. Be sure you leave some time for that. A reminder that the details for the deep dive, the criteria, are in the syllabus. Okay? I will hand back your deep dive without grading it if it does not meet those criteria. So do look to the syllabus for your deep dive. Okay, now let's talk about week 5. Our topics for this week are all about our stakeholders. Now, Denise mentioned the word stakeholder, but this is going to be a term we're going to spend a lot of time with. Stakeholders are anyone who has a vested interest in your program. So participants are absolutely a stakeholder. So are non-participants. It could be funders, it could be taxpayers, it could be police agencies. So we're going to spend some time looking at the stakeholders that have a vested interest in the programs that you will be developing for Denise and for housing. Okay. With stakeholders, we're also going to explore the topics of mission, vision, values, organizational culture. Okay. We're going to be looking at the mission, vision, values of our campus, of university housing, and then using that to understand how we can program within that existing mission, because in a way we are sort of clients of the university, meaning that we are programming something that needs to be consistent with the mission, the vision, values of this campus. And so we'll be looking at that first through your content. I've asked that you look at 2 different web articles. One of the articles is all about stakeholders, assessing stakeholders and why it's important to get stakeholder input. And then the second article, a very short one, is just defining what a mission is, a vision, values, organizational culture, and some of those basic terms. Okay, so that's your content for this week. Oh, sorry, there is a third piece of content, and that is a PDF that are the notes from the Community Action Summit that was held last spring. This summit was hosted by President Zing in response to the call to action. If you were on campus last semester, you were aware that in response to the multiple deaths that we had on campus-related alcohol, President Zing held a call to action of different community stakeholders. Well, in the spring he gathered, I believe, about 50 community members, faculty, staff, and students to brainstorm some of the problems and potential solutions around the campus drinking culture. The document that I'm having you look at are the notes from the summit. So it's very note-like. It's not an article. You're actually looking at the notes. But I want you to spend some time looking at some of the themes and some of the topics that this group of stakeholders discussed, because those notes will become more data for you, part of your needs assessment as you plan our program. Okay, so that will be Monday and Wednesday. And then Friday's Out and About will be interviews with various stakeholders on campus. Each of you or each of your groups will be assigned a different stakeholder on campus. Those stakeholders will be faculty or staff members from different organizations on campus. Okay, I've sent out a request to multiple organizations for participation. And so based on who's willing to participate in an interview with you, that will determine who your interviewees will be. So on Wednesday, we'll take some time setting up your interview questions, and then your Friday Out and About will be meeting with the person that you're interviewing and then gathering their data. Now, we're actually going to start scheduling interviews a bit earlier, so you may or may not conduct your interview on Friday. If you do not conduct your interview on Friday, you still have that class time. We'll still not meet in class, but Friday would be a great time to meet with your group and start to pull together some of your notes and start to think about what your needs assessment of your program plan is going to look like. We will talk in class about what that final product will be for your program plan. Okay, so that's what our week looks like. One last tidbit that I want to throw in there, because this has come up a couple times in class, is about our class community. One is, and I hate that I have to say this already, but I have to say it every semester, y'all, it's the cell phone issue. I see this a lot in class, and that's okay. I'm used to it. I don't make hard and fast rules about cell phones because, you know, I'm as quick as you all are at pulling out my cell phone, and I can't ignore my text messages. But we have had classmates, several of them, mention that they're really distracted and actually unable to do their work, especially with the iPads, when there's someone else in class on their cell phone. So this is my first plea to y'all. We're on a team project here, and really need everyone to use some discipline around their cell phone. I don't want to have to start making rules around it. I know you're faced with those in all of your other classes, so do the best you can to really use some discipline. Put your phone away, okay? And then last is about participation in your groups. We saw this Friday our first Out and About, and several group members were absent and just didn't show up. So some groups were worried about what does that mean and how do we hold our groups accountable. I'd like to remind you that you created contracts as a group, and if at any time your group feels like a group member is not upholding their end of the contract, then they will alert me and we will have an email exchange about the contract. I have sort of a one warning rule. If there's a group member that's not adhering to the contract, then we'll have a warning. We'll talk about some ways to problem solve that. But after one warning, then the group can vote that group member out. And if you get voted out of your group, then you have to do the whole thing alone. And that's a lot of work, so just a warning, if you feel like you're straggling already, please kind of get back with your group and remember that contract and the commitment that you made. All right, y'all, that was a long orientation video. Again, lots of information to cover, but we're going to hit the ground running on Monday. I'm not going to go over these details again. So if any of this did not make sense, please stop by my office hours or shoot me an email. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all on Monday. Bye now.